It is Derby Day. The 147th Run for the Roses set to take place on its traditional first Saturday in May from Churchill Downs. Last year's race, like many things, was postponed until September due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This year, seating capacity will be limited to roughly 50% as they run for the Roses. While the seating capacity will only be 50%, our odds makers and book breakers going to give you the full 100. Here's a look at the odds to win the Derby. Undefeated Essential Quality is your favorite at 6-5. For historical context, favorites have won 38% of past Kentucky Derbies, so perhaps some value to be found elsewhere on the board. Following Essential Quality, Rock Your World is 9-2, and Hot Rod Charlie coming off at 7-1. For more, we welcome in CBS Sports horse racing analyst Tim Doyle and the Hammer, the legendary Hank Goldberg, with us now. Gentlemen, Triple Crown season is back. Tim, before we get to the picks here, I want to go your way first. What are some tips you can share for the novices, those looking to dip their toe into picking ponies here for the first time?
Well, you're not picking an easy spot, Joe. We're talking about 20 horses going 1.25 miles in the best 2 minutes in all of sports. But let's start off with the win bet. That is simple. Finish first in the race, we'll send you home a winner. Place would be second, show would be third. But the way you really make the money in a big race like this is with the exotic bets. We're talking about Exacta, which is first 2 finishers. Trifecta is the first 3 finishers. And then a little Superfecta, which is the first 4 finishers. And if you pick the first 4 winners of this race, finishers in this race, you will be having a very nice spring. You're going to get paid because the Superfecta pays the most. It also is the most inexpensive bet. Sometimes you can find it for 50 cents. Sometimes you can find it for 10 cents, depending on the track. But a full field like this guarantees, especially with the money that's going to be wagered on this race, that if you have a winner, you are going to get paid.
Hank, I want you to break down the favorite for us here. Essential Quality comes in as our favorite. What do we need to know about this horse before siding with the favorite here? Because as I said, favorites going off at 38% here in the Derby. Maybe we can find some value elsewhere, but in terms of our favorite, what are we looking at today, Hank?
Well, he won the Bluegrass, which was, I thought, the best race leading up to the Derby, but he was fading a little bit in the Bluegrass, and he came out not looking all that fresh. And his workouts leading up to the Derby have been terrible. Mike Welsh, who is the clocker for the racing for him, said that he showed little energy. Horses that he's worked with have outrun him. And he's come back not looking really good. And so Mike Welsh has left him out of his pre-race selections. And I think that he's not the right favorite here because he's not coming into this race at his best, and he did have a workout a couple of days ago where his trainer said that he was satisfied with it, but he didn't exert himself. It was a jog. So what do you know from that? Nothing. And his trainer also has the 7 horse in here, Medellin, and he's been talking him up.
TD, how about you? When you're taking a look at this favorite, Hank doesn't seem that high on the prospects of the favorite in this one. We'll get to value picks here in a moment, but what do you see when it comes to the favorite?
Well, he's done nothing wrong, and if you look at the post parade, the program rather, he's 5 for 5. He has gotten kind of favorable trips in the last couple of times out, and Hank remembers that there was a time that a 2-year-old champion, which Essential Quality is, was basically a toss. I mean, 2-year-olds had no form when they were 3 years old. So I think this horse deserves to be the favorite. I'm not betting him. And the Sheik has never won a Kentucky Derby. His best finish was 4th. He owns the horse. You're betting against that as well, that trend. So he's gone out there and spent millions upon millions of dollars and has not produced a Derby winner. But as far as what he has done in the past, the form's really good. He's raced 5 times. He's won 5 times.
And he's won at 3 different racetracks, and he's also won in the slop. He's done everything that's been asked of him, but he looks terrible right now. and that's why I'm tossing. I'll use him underneath because of his record.
So the pedigree is there, but perhaps the current form is not, and that opens things up to some of these value propositions as we put together our personal cards. We're always looking for that value, maybe some longer odds. Hank, as you dig through the program and do the homework for us, where does that value reside?
I think it resides with the 9 horse, Hot Rod Charlie. This is a horse who won the Louisiana Derby. He was second in a Bob Lewis to a Baffert horse, and he was just barely beaten there. Talk about a horse coming into a race looking great. I'll tell you something interesting. The horse, the rider on the hot horse Rock Your World, Rosario, had been working this horse, and actually Hot Rod Charlie, Baffert helped with the training because the regular trainer was suspended for the race in Louisiana. And this horse won that race pretty easily, had a wide trip and still won. And he wasn't going to be beaten that day. And his exercise rider came back the other day with a big smile on his face. This is a horse that's coming up to this race. He's 7-1. I like the price, and he's my top horse.
Yeah, I wish I could be a little more flamboyant to pick a different horse. But Hank, I love your pick. Hot Rod Charlie. Doug O'Neill's won the Derby not once, but twice with I'll Have Another and Nyquist. You got Flavor Flav on top of him. We're talking about Flavian Pratt, who dominates the West Coast racing scene. And Doug O'Neill is tried and true. And here's the thing about Hot Rod Charlie, Joe. He's going to put himself in position not to get wiped out, because the start of the Derby is a stampede. And into that first turn, so many things could go wrong if you're a closer, because you're kind of looking for position. You can get wiped out. I like the fact that Hot Rod Charlie has that tactical speed. So it could be sitting third or fourth. It could even be sitting right off the leader's flank in second. I think it's so important in the Derby is getting that clean trip. And I think Hot Rod Charlie, especially with a top jockey in Pratt, is going to guarantee that turning for home, you're going to have a shot to win.
Digging a little deeper into the precedent here on our numbers, 56 of 146 past Derby winners were the favorite. Does not sound like that's going to be the pick we get out of the hammer. Tim, I'll go your way first here. Your pick to win the 147th Run for the Roses is whom?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Hot Rod Charlie. So I hate to be a little boring and jump on Hank's back, but Hank's been doing it a long time. I mean, he had the Derby winner 50 years ago. He's going to have the Derby winner again today, for crying out loud. I like Hot Rod Charlie in this race. I'll give you another horse that I think's got a big possibility, and I'm talking about Dynamic One. Was given to him in the Wood, and I thought he broke poorly. He was wide throughout the race, and then he got run down at the wire by a 70-1 shot in Bourbonic, who's going to be breaking from the 20 post. But Todd Pletcher's done it before, right? We just saw him yesterday win the Kentucky Oats with a horse that was giant, had a really tough trip in that race. Malathaat was by far the best horse. Pletcher's done it before. I like trainers that have been through the wars. They know how to kind of prep their horses. Bob Baffert's got a horse in this race. I don't think he really has a chance, but I'm going to give you 2 horses. I'm going to give you the 9 and 11 as live shots to go out and win.
All right, so TD is doubling down on Hot Rod Charlie at 7-1. Hank, what say you? Another vote of confidence for the Hot Rod?
Yeah, he's a long striding horse. He has long legs. They love the draw at post 9. He needs space, and I think Tim is right. He's in the right post, and he'll have plenty of space from that post position and should have a clean trip.
We'll see how it all goes down, but votes of confidence from our guys has me running to the window as well at 7-1 on Hot Rod Charlie. And those straight tickets, they're all well and good, and hopefully they produce a winner here for our viewers. But the exotics, those are the real day makers. If we're looking to win big here on Saturday, Hank, what's your best exotic you're going to stack up here on Derby Day?
Well, Todd, I talked to Chad Brown, who has highly motivated number 17. He said that he got a lot out of the Bluegrass. And he had a trouble trip there and ran a strong second. That was the best race leading up to this one. And highly motivated, Chad said, is going to be stalking the 15-horse Rock Your World. There was a scratch in between those 2 horses, so the 16 horses out. So there's only 19 horses, only 19. But anyway, this horse is going to be tracking. And Chad said he doesn't want the jockey to push him too much. He doesn't want him coming from far back. He wants him stalking the pace so that he has enough left for the stretch run. And Chad says he told me maybe this is his year. So I like him. I like the 7 horse coming from off the pace. And I'm going to use the 1 horse 4th as well. And I'm also going to use the 5th horse, who's the favorite. So I'm going to use the 9 on top with the other 4 in the superfecta that Tim was talking about. It's you use 1 on top, the 9 on top with the other 4. It's not that expensive a bet, and you can get a huge payoff.
I think something to watch for, and Hank mentioned it, is the 1 horse. We're talking about known agenda. First of all, you got Todd Pletcher, who he mentioned has won a couple of derbies before, and you got Irad Ortiz. But what to watch for is really going to be the start. You'll know right away, because the gate's going to open. If he positions himself 5th or 6th, he's able to save ground around that turn, and then he's got a big shot. If he breaks 14th and 13 horses run in front of him, he's dead. So you'll know right away if you're betting the 1. If that horse needs to get out clean, because the rail is normally a disaster zone to break in the Derby, I think the horse has a chance, but you'll know right away. It's almost like betting a quarter horse if that horse is going to have the shot. We're talking about the number 1 known agenda. I'm going to use an exacta box here. It's going to be kind of boring. I'm going to go 9, 11, 14. 14 is essential quality. The 11 is dynamic 1. That race in the wood, I know those horses weren't great, but just watch. Wide, broke poorly. So many things went against it, and he's going to have to luck into the trip. You talked about highly motivated, Rock Your World. Those horses can end up dueling and killing each other. Now, all of a sudden, the race gets really interesting, and who can pass horses, who could close. I think the 11's got a big chance. I'll throw Saint Hood out there, another Pletcher horse that absolutely came to a stop in the Jeff Ruby Stakes. I think he could run up for 3rd or 4th in this race. But exacta box here, 9, 11, 14. Here's the deal, Joe. You should bet like 6 horses and put them in a different pocket. I know a guy's name is Johnny the Mustache. He would bet 6 horses and he would put like 1 in his front pocket, 1 in his front, and then when the race ended, he'd be like, "Oh, I got the winner." He would go to the right pocket. So like, yes, is it kind of cheating, but also it gives you a chance to have the Derby winner.
You know, talking about the 1 post, the configuration has changed since the 1 hole was such a terrible place to be, because there's only 1 gate now. And so, you know, the horse is no longer coming out staring at the rail when they break. But this horse does not break well. He ran from last to first to win the Florida Derby, and so he won't be close to the pace. He's going to be coming from far back. So the reason I don't like him to win the race is because he's got to overcome a lot of traffic. And with 19 horses in the race, that's not going to be easy for him. But he could come in underneath, and so I will use him in my supers underneath.
Hammer and Hank, Goldberg and Tim Doyle giving us our Derby Day breakdown. Thank you, gentlemen. Hope it's a winning one. All right, let's take another look at those picks from our experts. The Hammer, his value pick, Hot Rod Charlie at 7-1. He's also taken Highly Motivated at 16-1. TD going Dynamic 1 at 45-1 as his value long shot pick. And his pick to win, Hot Rod Charlie. Some overlap there from our 2 experts.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.